Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast, where you learn how to extract your business and personal deep wealth. I'm your host, Jeffrey Feldberg. This podcast is brought to you by Deep Wealth and the 90-Day Deep Wealth Experience. When it comes to your business deep wealth, your exit or liquidity event is the most important financial decision of your life. But unfortunately, up to 90% of liquidity events fail. Think about all that time and your hard-earned money wasted. Of the quote-unquote successful liquidity events, most business owners leave 50% to over 100% of the deal value in the buyer's pocket and don't even know it. I should know. I said no to a seven-figure offer and yes to mastering the art and the science of a liquidity event. 2 years later, I said yes to a different buyer with a 9-figure deal. Are you thinking about an exit or liquidity event? Don't become a statistic and make the fatal mistake of believing the skills that built your business are the same ones to sell it. After all, how can you master something you've never done before? Let the 90-Day Deep Wealth Experience and the 9-step roadmap of preparation help you capture the best deal instead of any deal. At the end of this episode, take a moment and hear from business owners like you who went through the Deep Wealth Experience. Kim Sorrelle is an entrepreneur, director of a humanitarian organization, a popular speaker, and the author of the award-winning bestseller, Love Is. Love Is chronicles her year-long quest to figure out the true meaning of love, a sometimes funny, sometimes scary, always entertaining journey that led to life-changing discoveries found mainly on the streets of Haiti. Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast, and I'm really excited about this episode. This is going to be a different episode than most because, on the Deep Wealth Podcast, pun intended, we're all about extracting your deep wealth, not only on the business side, but on the personal side. It's my personal belief, my personal conviction, when you got it right on the inside, everything else works on the outside. And so as you heard in the official introduction, we have a fellow entrepreneur, business owner, thought leader, an incredibly talented individual who's going to share her journey, which led to a book, and talk about taking something literally, an age-old prayer out there from the Corinthians, and then writing a whole book about a life experience. But I'm going to put a pause on it right there. No more spoiler alerts. Kim, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. There's so much to talk about, but let me ask you this because I'm really curious. There's always a story behind the story. Your whole life is a story. We'll talk about that. But where did it start? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad was always starting something. And so I started my first business when I was 18. And I planned on becoming the first woman president.
Love that.
Yes. And so in high school, I knew my path. I knew how I was going to get there. I had it all laid out in front of me. And I didn't think a husband and kids would fit into the equation. But I figured if they did, I knew that he had to have two things.
Okay.
A future spouse. He had to be over 6 foot tall.
Okay.
Because my 5 foot nothing mom married a short man, and I wanted to give my kids a chance at some height.
Love that, yeah.
And he had to be good looking because he had to look good in my wedding pictures. So I was obviously a very deep thinker at that point in time at 17 years old. And so May of my senior year in high school, I was playing pool at the local bowling alley, and this tall, dark, handsome man walked in the room, and 10 days later, I asked him to marry me, and he said yes.
Wow. So there you have it. 6 feet or higher, has to be good looking. You met the fellow, and you're the one that asked him to marry you. I mean, wow, talk about a different beginning. That's terrific. But I got a question for you. Kim, where are you? We need you as president. Come on. The country needs you to save us. What's taking you so long?
Well, I'm younger than the current president. I've got some time.
Okay. Well, listen, we're waiting for you, so don't keep us waiting that much longer. So you met the man of your dreams, and what a wild ride that was to get there from 17, and then wham, it happened. So what happened next?
I started a business. I wanted to help put him through college. He was older. He was 4 years older, so he was old enough to buy beer. Apparently that was something. I don't know if that was important or not, but he was. So I started a business, and the business grew and went great. And then he eventually joined me in the businesses, and we had different ones throughout the years. Started having babies, and then they grew up and are all doing their own thing, adults. And some of them having babies of their own, which is so much fun being a grandma. It's the greatest job in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know there's a sad note in the story of something that happened along the way. Why don't you share what that was?
Sure. Yeah. So a few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And 4 months later, my husband, the man of my dreams, that tall, dark, handsome man, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed away 6 weeks after that, which rocked my world. You think you're going to be 95 years old, sitting on a porch on rockers, sipping lemonade and smiling at each other, or whatever it is you do when you're 95 years old and sitting on a porch. And so I had to totally redefine my life, figure out what I was going to do, what my life was even going to look like. I was in my 40s. It was a tough time.
You're just warming up, and my heartfelt condolences to you. I mean, that must have just been such a rough place to be in. And so there you are, you had the news about yourself, which took you by surprise. And then before you can even blink, your husband passes away. And so speaking to us as business owners, I mean, you had successful businesses, you're out there, you're a mover, you're a shaker. How do you deal with that kind of thing? Because I know as business owners, we're type A, we like to control our world around us. And somehow we figure out how to do that in certain areas. And then things come along like what happened with you and the most unfortunate passing with your husband. How do you deal with that on an emotional level? What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was one thing to deal when you are told that you have cancer. That's enough to deal with, right?
Sure.
And then if you're told that somebody that you love has cancer, that's a tough thing to deal with. And then losing him was hard. And emotionally, it was really tough. But like you said, with the type A personality, I felt like I had to be strong for my kids. I had to be tough. I had to endure. And I was married to the greatest guy. My husband was a faithful man. He was up at 5 o'clock in the morning reading a Bible and doing devotions, praying. And 51 years old, he passed away. And I always felt like I couldn't begrudge him. Like I couldn't be angry about that because he kind of earned his spot, to go to heaven at 51, not so bad, never pay another bill, no more employee hassles, no more of the crap that we have to deal with, sickness, no COVID, whatever. That's not so horrible probably for him. Thanks for me, but good for him.
No, it's a great outlook, a mindset, not easy to do, but you did that. And then in terms of, okay, you go through your grieving period and you're working your way through that. And not that it ever really ends. I mean, it's always there, just time passes and life changes in different ways. So what happened next? Because some things began to happen that in your wildest imagination, you never would have said, hey, this is exactly how it's going to play out. Why don't you share with us what happened next?
Yeah, well, losing my husband made me question some things. And one of those things is the true meaning of love. I think if you put 5 people in a room and you say, what is love? You're going to get 5 different answers. Like everybody thinks of love in different ways. And there are myths about love. There's things done in the name of love that aren't love, just whatever it is about love. And so as I was questioning and figuring out what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life, I wanted to kind of take things slowly instead of just kind of diving back in. I had people running my businesses. I didn't need to go back if I didn't want to. I could take some time. So I decided I would be part-time bookkeeper or a nonprofit that my father and I had started 10 years before then. And it was January 1, clean books. And so that's always a nice place to start as a bookkeeper. And 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people. So I went from part-time bookkeeper to 24/7 full on. And within a couple of weeks, I was in Haiti. And I spent some of every month for the next several years in Haiti.
Wow.
Working.
So, I mean, talk about a whirlwind. You start as a bookkeeper, perhaps just to pass some time, trying to figure things out. And it happens to be with an organization that's out there, it's helping and making a difference. You have this horrible natural disaster. And again, in the blink of an eye, Kim, now you're in Haiti and this lasts for some time. And I know that journey, you had an idea that maybe not right at the beginning, or maybe it was at the beginning, you'll tell me, but what happened where a light bulb went off and you said, hey, here's what I'm going to do?
Yeah, well, I really wanted to honor my husband. Because he was a great guy. He was really good to me. And I didn't want to just kind of wallow in the grief. it can be easy to stay stuck in grief,
Sure.
to stay down. And sometimes people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't really laugh again, because then you're dishonoring the person who passed away. Like, then you're not remembering them. They're not there to laugh with you. There's so many psychological things that happen with grief. But mine was the opposite. I just wanted to honor him the best way I could. And I figured to do that, I needed to live the best life I could. And so in questioning love, I decided that I was going to figure it out, because I was looking for it and couldn't figure out the definition, what love really is. And so I decided I would dedicate a full year to figuring it out. And I'll tell you, Jeffrey, when I go to a restaurant, I have a hard time committing to an entree. So to commit a full year to something is kind of a big deal to me.
Sure.
So it was huge. And so I decided I would take this 2,000-year-old poem, love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. And I would take one word or phrase a month and figure out, well, what is love that is patient? What is love that is kind? And I'll tell you, it blew my mind. The things that I discovered about love are unlike anything I'd ever heard. It changed my life. It rocked my world. And so I put it in a book, because I will change other lives as well.
And for our listeners, in the show notes, it won't be any easier, really. It's a point and click. So come to the show notes. And for Kim's book, Love is a year-long experiment in living out 1 Corinthians 13 love. And Kim, when you put the book together, I love how you did it. No pun intended there. Literally, you took the poem and each phrase is a chapter. And it's just so elegant. And for the listeners out there who you're a person of faith, terrific. If you're a listener, you're not a person of faith, and perhaps God doesn't play a role in your life, or the universe, whatever you like to call it, hey, keep an open mind, because we all have emotions. And Kim is going through a human journey that we all go through. Perhaps hers may be more extreme than others. But Kim, as you started to go down this journey and you made that decision, I'm going to take a year of my life, big commitment, to explore what that is. When you look back now and you say, okay, I thought I knew what I knew going in, but I really didn't know anything at all. I mean, what jumps off the page for you that you can share with our listeners?
Well, every single one of by the way, there's 14 is an essence of love. So the very first thing I figured out is it was going to take me longer than a year at one a month. But it's like every single word, you put love is or love is not in front of any word, and it changes the meaning drastically. It changes the meaning of the word. It defines it and changes it. And so that blew my mind. But with all these 14 sort of definitions of love, there is this umbrella over the whole thing. And the thing is love isn't an emotion. It's not a feeling. We watch a scary movie. You go to bed that night, you hear every creak, every bump, every whatever noise in the house, and you're scared, but you don't live in fear. You don't live in that. The next night you're better, right? You're far enough away from the movie that you're not afraid anymore. And so you don't live in that, but you live in love. Love is something that you are. It's not a feeling or an emotion. And when we think of it as a feeling or an emotion, that can really mess us up. Because in a couple's relationship, for instance, when you feel like you've fallen in love, and you use that terminology, right? And you've fallen in love and you can't wait to walk down the aisle, and you do, and you can't wait to say, I do, and you do. And then you go on this great honeymoon, and then you get home from the honeymoon and everything's wonderful until he leaves his dirty underwear on the bedroom floor. And then you're like, do I love this guy? Did I really marry this barbarian? Like, what is wrong with this man? And when you think of love as an emotion, you can lose it. You can fall out of it. But when you realize that it's who you are and it's the person that you love, he's not drop his dirty underwear guy. He is the man that you love. You love him as a person, not the things he does. There are going to be things that are going to irritate all of us, that we're not going to like about each other. But we're not the sum total of those little annoying things that we do. We are who we are. We're people. And so that's, to me, a big difference.
Yeah, as you're talking about that, it's very subtle, but at the same time, it's huge in terms of what you're saying. And the message perhaps over the years and now in our lifestyle, no judgments there, it's lost even more so. So when you look at your life before you went on this journey and you're looking at your life now that you've been on this journey, how would you describe yourself in terms of being different, both as a person, as a business owner? Maybe it's one and the same, maybe it's as separated from one to the other. What is that like when you do the before and after?
Yeah, I think there's a significant before and after. I mean, hopefully I was a nice person. I think I was. I think I was a good boss and all of that. But with love, there's just no room for judgment. And that's a big thing. I really believe that you're just supposed to love everybody. If you just love everybody, it's just such an easy, wonderful way to live. Love everybody. And when you do that with real love, then you allow yourself and in turn allow other people to be exactly who they believe they're supposed to be. And you might not agree with them, but they get to be their own self. You have no control. So they get to be whoever they want. So people can have a different opinion than yours. That's okay. People can act differently than you do. That's okay. That's on them. That's not on you. And when we're in judgment, when we judge people, we're basically saying we're better than. If they're doing that, well, I'm better than they are because they're doing that. Or I'm better than they are because they're in that political party, whatever. Well, nobody's better than anybody. We all have our feet on the same ground. We're all equal. And love would say you love them in spite of the things that you may disagree with. You just love them.
And Kim, as you're talking about that, I know for myself what I'm feeling, and I suspect I'm not alone, that our listeners may be thinking the same thing. Hey, Kim, I hear you on that. You know what? If I'm on vacation or it's the weekend or I'm just relaxing, sure, I can just let go and be a loving person and may not agree with someone, but I can respect them and not look untoward them or judge them. But then when it comes to business, the mindset, particularly here in North America, I hate that saying, but dog eat dog kind of world. It's a zero-sum game. I win, you lose, you win, I lose. And I can hear our listeners saying, and even my first inclination, okay, I hear you, Kim, but on the business side, how exactly is that going to work? And I can still be successful in business while being that. And I know there's a different narrative of what I just shared of how actually it is better, but let me put that off to the side. So for most people that are thinking that, okay, Kim, yeah, I hear you, but business, it's oil and water. It doesn't mix. It can't work. What would you say to that?
Well, it's kind of funny because it's not like you take love off and put it in the closet, right? You don't hang it up when you get home or you get to work. Love is, again, it's who you are and it's universal. It's everywhere. And with love, you also recognize that your response is on you. If you let people control your emotions, control how you feel about something, control how you react to something, then think about it. You shouldn't let anybody control that. You are in control. So you get to decide how you react to anything. So you might not like everybody. Like and love are two different things. And we're not all going to hang out. We're not all going to gel. When I had my business is in full swing, I had a theory, a plan, a mantra that I live by that if I ever made a man cry, I knew he shouldn't be working for me because nobody should have to cry at work. And then especially a man cry at work. Like I just knew then we shouldn't be working together. He'd be happier somewhere else and I'd probably be happier without him. And so I know that there's times that there are people that drive you crazy, but they drive you crazy because you let them.
Sure.
If you look at things a different way and not react in a negative way and not let yourself get all upset. It's like if there were two guys in the same traffic jam, right? One of them's going ballistic. He's honking on his horn. He's got his window rolled down. He's yelling out the window. He wants to get going. He's got places to go. His blood pressure's rising. His heart's beating faster. His face is turning red and he's agitated. He's mad. Well, if he goes home like that, he's going to be agitated and mad, right? But that's how he's reacting. Well, a guy in the next car in the same traffic jam could go, okay, well, I can't do anything about it. There's nothing I can do. I'm in a traffic jam. I think I'll listen to Jeffrey and his podcast for a little while and just chill. So we get to choose our reactions. We get to choose our reactions. And then based on our choices of how we react, that determines a lot of how things are going to go.
Exactly. And for our listeners, let's do a quick thought experiment while we have Kim with us. And for our listeners, I want you to imagine you're following the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap. And as you know, step number 2, X factors that insanely increase the value of your business. One of the X factors is that your business runs without you. For most business owners, that isn't the case. So I want you to imagine you're hiring a president or a CEO, whatever title you choose to give, and you're looking at this person, you're interviewing this person, you're now doing some reflection, and you're saying, okay, is the person that I spoke with, is that person who could be the future leader of my company, my blood, sweat, and tears? Is that person patient? Is that person kind? Are they someone who's not envious? They don't boast. They're not proud. They don't go out of their way to dishonor others. In fact, they honor other people and they don't anger easily. And they're not keeping a scorecard. Oh, Jeffrey screwed up over here and over there, and they're going to use that against me. And they're all about the truth, and they want to protect the team around them. And they're someone that trusts, and someone that has good hopes, and someone that perseveres. So if that was a president for our listeners out there, would you hire that person? And I suspect the answer is, well, Jeffrey, of course, but you just read some loaded questions to me and some values. Well, not really. So I have a confession. I took the Corinthians, the poem, the love poem, and I just simply removed love is, and I took what love is: patient, kind, does not envy, does not boast. And so there you have it. And I deliberately did that in thinking about that because really, Kim, as you and I both know, and for listeners out there, hopefully we can get them on board with us. Yes, if you can get into that feeling of emotion, and by the way, you can tell me if you're on base or off base with this, because the latest science, some people call it the field, quantum physics, tells us that when we feel certain emotions, and I would say love, gratitude, joy, those are some of the highest emotions. That's when the magic happens, the good stuff in life, where we begin to manifest our goals and desires. So I'm curious, as you began to live your life 1 month at a time, for each of the verses, the 14 verses in the poem, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, what began to happen for you as a person?
Well, each month would carry into the next, right? Like the first month, right out of the gate, love is patient. I could not figure out what that meant. I figured that I knew what patience is. We all know what patience is. But as soon as I figured that one out, then the next month I had to live it. I had to live love is patient while I'm looking for love that is kind. And then I had to carry it over to the next month and the next month. And so I evolved over the time, over the 14 months. But like the very first one, Jeffrey, love is patient. That seems so simple. You're not mad because you're ready to go and they're not ready to go, or they're not getting their work done on time. You're not stomping your foot and getting all upset. But love that is patient is different than that. Love that is patient. And again, love everybody. So you love the person that you're with enough with love that is patient to recognize that this is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past. What's in the future is yet to come. This moment right here, right now is the most important. And I'll tell you, I stunk at being present like this. I stunk at it. I thought I was the greatest multitasker. Like I could be in deep conversation while thinking about a meeting I had later, what we were going to have for dinner, who needed to get to soccer practice, and be listening, fully engaged at the same time. And I realized I am not that superwoman. I don't have that superpower, and I don't know that anybody does. So this took me so much practice, but it changed everything. If I would have only done the first month, my life would have changed.
Wow.
Because when you are fully present, when you really listen, you hear things a different way because you actually hear what people are saying. You're not hearing based on assumptions you've made about somebody or some label that you put on somebody, because love doesn't do those things. Love doesn't have any labels. When you really listen, then things just change. Everything changes. Your authenticity changes. And people want to do business with people who are authentic, not faking it, but that are really there. People want to be listened to. And it carries over to business. But in life in general, it's the greatest thing you can do is really listen to people. Maybe not the greatest thing. One of the greatest things you could do. But really listen makes a big difference.
Well, absolutely. And, as you're talking us through this, Kim, what I'm thinking about is, okay, here in the U.S., when we talk about patience, we have a certain lifestyle that we've come to expect, and we're probably more impatient than we realize. But you're not in the U.S., you're in Haiti, which I suspect is running at a completely different tempo, much slower, not as organized, I would think. And so patience, I mean, it's almost an oxymoron, patience and Haiti and having things done as you'd like it. I mean, that must have been an experience in and of itself.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. I had very little patience, regular patience in Haiti up until this moment of rural discovery. But one of the things I did was ship down shipping containers. And so then I had to work with the government to get them released. And then there's demurrage fees, and then there's more and more. And it was so painful always. I would go into a government office, no computers, and somebody needed to staple a couple papers together. And they opened their drawer and they got out the stapler. They stapled the papers. They put the stapler back. They closed the drawer, handed me the papers. I mean, just to get papers, it took so many extra minutes. And so everything was like that. And yes, it is a different pace, a whole different way of doing things down there.
And if I can put you on the spot, and it's a tough question, or maybe it's not a tough question, you'll tell us, when you went through each of the 14 verses and the different characteristics and attributes and just really the way of being for that particular month, was there one that's your favorite or one that resonated more with you than the others?
Well, there's one that I was dreading. I was dreading love keeps no record of wrongs. Because that's a tough one, right? Like, you might forgive people, but you don't forget the things that happened to you. And so I thought, what could this even be? Like, I actually didn't even do that one in order. I did the rest of them in order, but I put that one off because I dreaded it. And so the month that I worked on that, I was asked by these men from the United States to show them a water project I was working on in Haiti. And I said, sure, come on over. And so there were 8 men that came from the US. And then I brought 2 Haitian friends to translate, and they knew the water project inside and out. And we drove out into the countryside to where we were going to stay. And we got there, and there was a very small building with 2 rooms, and each room had 4 twin-size beds. So 8 American men, 2 Haitian men, and me. But we brought 2 cots and an air mattress. So I thought, we'll move stuff around. It's okay. We'll be okay. You only go in there to sleep. It's so hot in Haiti that it's not like you're hanging out in the bedroom. Like, you go in there to sleep. Well, the head of the American guys pulled me aside right away. Kim, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. And he said, did you see the rooms? And I'm thinking, buddy, there is like nothing else to see. And then I went, oh, he's going to think I want my own room. So I'll just say, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he'll say, oh, no, if anyone should sleep inside, it should be you. And then I'll say, well, I don't care if there's other people in the room. And he'll say, good, because there's only so much space. So I said, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he said, oh, good. Because we've got men on this trip that would not be comfortable with a woman in their room. And I'm thinking, what did I just get myself into? What was I thinking? It did not go as planned. So I had to figure it out. So I looked around, and there was this piece of plywood kind of held up by these wooden structures. And I thought, well, if I sleep under there, at least if it rains, I won't get wet. But I was scared to death because there are tarantulas and there are snakes and chupacabras or whatever is lurking in the bushes in Haiti. And I did not want to get bit or maimed. We're out in the country. I'm thinking, can they airlift me to Miami in time to save my leg? Like, what is going to happen? I was so afraid. So the first night I went to bed, I blew up the air mattress. It held air for about an hour. And then I'm on gravel. And it was so loud because the horns were honking and dogs were barking. And finally that died down sometime after midnight. And then voodoo drums started in the distance. And then that went for a couple hours. And then finally I was able to doze off and get some sleep. Well, the first night came and went without incident. So second night, same thing. I'm on the gravel, the dogs, the horns, the voodoo drums. Finally, I'm sleeping. But I woke up because there was something on my leg.
Oh.
And I was so afraid. And so I slowly lifted my head and I slowly opened my eyes. And it was a chicken. There was a dang chicken on my leg. And I didn't know whether to be happy that it wasn't something worse or mad because it woke me up from this little bit of sleep that I was getting. Third night came and went, no problem. Fourth night, same thing. Dogs, horns, voodoo drums, finally asleep. But again, I woke up because there was something on my leg. And again, I was scared to death of what could it possibly be. So again, I slowly lifted my head and slowly opened my eyes. And again, it was the dang chicken. And again, I didn't know whether to be happy or mad. But Jeffrey, that night we had chicken for dinner. So the fifth night came and went without incident. And I'll tell you, at first I was angry. I was bitter. I was mad at these guys. I was thinking, gosh, I hope my sons wouldn't treat a woman like this, whatever. Sure. And then I thought, well, bitterness doesn't do anything. It doesn't help me. They don't even know I'm mad. I'm the one that offered to sleep outside. Like I'm the one that made it happen, really. And so I thought, well, I can't be mad. I can't be bitter. And then I went, now I get it. Love doesn't keep record of wrongs. So yeah, we don't forget the things that happen to us, but the narrative changes, the tone of the story changes. So instead of these rotten guys that did this rotten thing to me, now it's just kind of this funny thing that I lived through. And now I could literally sleep anywhere in the world and be perfectly comfortable. And so the tone, the narrative changes, and we get to pick that. We get to pick the narrative. We get to pick the tone, and love that keeps no record of wrongs changes.
And not to put words in your mouth, you wouldn't have picked this necessarily, and you didn't realize it at the time. But what you just said right now, it sounds like unknowingly they gave you a gift. Because now, having been through that, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't get much more worse or scarier than what you went through. So you can do just about anything because of that. And you can now look at that experience as, hey, I did that, so no problems doing this.
So true. I love when people say things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So take what happens and turn it into lemonade, no matter what it is.
And so, Kim, I'm wondering, so you're now going through this journey and you're starting to wrap things up. You've done the 14 verses. You've clearly changed as a person. And now the decision is, okay, I am in Haiti, but it's going to be time to go back to the U.S. So walk us through that. What were you thinking and feeling, and what happened?
Well, it's a big transition.
Sure.
Every time I would go back and forth from Haiti to the U.S., I mean, it's just a big transition. It's just so different. For a long time coming home still to this day, I take short showers. I sometimes turn the water off in between and get wet, then turn the water off, lather up, shampoo up, whatever, and then turn water back on to rinse off. Because water is not plentiful everywhere in the world like it is for us. I am more careful about eating the tomatoes before they go bad and not throwing food away. The average Haitian eats 3 meals a week. I mean, that's not much food. And we throw food away all the time. It certainly made me more aware of all of that kind of stuff, what's happening in factories around the world, just kind of everything, just raised my awareness. Like, I think it's good for anybody to have an experience like that. Like, you don't have to go for a year or 3 years or 6 years, whatever. Like, you don't have to do that, but to kind of look around and figure out that the people listening to this podcast probably have some wealth, right? I mean, they've got something going for them. They've got a business. They've got something going. And there's a whole lot of people. There's more people in the world that are not business owners. There's more people in the world that are under probably most of your listeners' income level. And so just it makes you more aware that people are people all over the world. And I don't have an explanation for why I have more and somebody else has less. I don't really have an answer for that. I feel really blessed to be raised in the home I was raised in, be born in this country. I feel really blessed by that because the opportunities are endless. Then I don't know why I wasn't born in Haiti or I wasn't born in Burkina Faso or someplace else. But I do know that there's a responsibility that comes with the wealth, that comes with the success, that comes with the abundance. And that is, we should all be helping somebody. And it doesn't have to be somebody overseas, but help somebody. The food kitchen in your town, or even pregnant woman with holding hands of 3 babies and trying to get her groceries to the car, help her out. Like, we should all be helping each other out. We should be there for each other. And that's what love would do, is we're in this together. We're in this thing together. It shouldn't be a dog eat dog world. It should be, if you help somebody out, chances are they're going to help you out. That's not necessarily why you do it, but it comes around. Good things come around. They just have a way of doing that.
Yeah, the law of reciprocity is just wired in us. If someone helps us, we feel sometimes don't even realize that, hey, Kim was so nice to me. Let me see what I can do to help her. She went out of her way. Let me see what I can do. And so let me ask you this, Kim. So now that you've gone through that journey, you put the book out there that gave you time to reflect and refine, you've obviously changed as a person. If we brought that back into the business world for just a moment, and again, for me, I don't really separate business and personal. It's a blur. They're one and the same, but I know a lot of people do separate that out. How can you describe how love and this, like you're saying, sure, it can be a feeling or emotion, but it's really a way of life. It's a way of being. It's so much bigger than that. How has that changed your life, big picture wise, as you now go about your business or your life? I mean, what's been the difference for you now that you've gone through this journey and you continue on this, but you've made some remarkable discoveries along the way?
I look at people differently. I look at staff differently. Instead of, well, they work in accounting, they work in the kitchen, whatever, and they have names and the people, but to realize how special each individual person is and honor that, like let people be who they believe that they're supposed to be. And so recognizing that we're all individuals, we all want that. We all want to be whatever it is we're supposed to be because love allows that. And so I look at people differently. I don't try not to ever judge. Let people have different opinions, let people whatever. So then when people bring problems, then it's not a matter of, oh my gosh, here he is in my office again with another problem. It's okay, well, let's talk it out. Let's see. I kind of go back to when my kids were little. My son, Luke, who now, by the way, is an engineer for NASA. So I don't know how that happened.
Congratulations.
But this kid, I would be cooking dinner, whatever I was doing, he'd be there poking my arm. Mom, it drove me nuts. He was relentless. And I would say, Luke, I'm busy. Luke, I'm on the phone. Luke, just wait a minute, whatever. But Mom, I think I had a permanent bruise on my arm. And I think back now, I wish I knew then what I know now. Because if I would have stopped just for a second, just for a minute and looked him in the eye and said, Luke, what do you want? He probably would have said, this truck is red, and then ran off somewhere. Like so often we think that if we start talking to somebody, oh my gosh, they're going to consume our time. They're taking away from our day. Well, people are the most important thing. They're your greatest asset, not just in business, but in life. Life is all about relationships. And so giving people the time, give people the time and talk to them.
Kim, as you're talking about this, I'm just reflecting here, and it's interesting. I'm connecting the dots now in ways I haven't before, because as I think back, I'm very fortunate and I have the opportunity of meeting very successful people, financially and health-wise, otherwise, on the financial side, billionaires, and beyond that, people have just done remarkable things. There's two characteristics across the successful people that I've noticed and picked up on, and what you're sharing now really had me realize that, to connect the dots. Number one, no matter how successful that person is, what got them successful, and they continue doing that, people feel heard around that person. So it could be a billionaire, a trillionaire, a zillionaire, people feel heard. And then the other thing that they do, they're listening, but they have the ability to lift people up. So as successful as they are, and even though they're wealthier than most of the people around them, whether it's in the workplace or on the personal side, they're like the light in a dark night, and people just feel attracted to these people, not necessarily in a physical way, but hey, I want to be around this person. They make me feel good. They hear me. They're making me feel special. And as I hear you with your journey, and as I look at the verses in the poem, they're really one and the same in terms of why they're doing that. And I suspect that the people don't realize that they're doing this. It just came natural to them, perhaps. But that's the power of really following a way of life. Would I be on base with that, off base with that? I'd love your thoughts.
Oh, I love what you just said. I love that. I think that's so true. When you think about the people in your life, people that you've known throughout your life, that you do want to spend more time with, that you are attracted to be their friend, to be their business partner, to work with them in business, to be their customer, even whatever. It's the people that really listen to you and uplift you. Like, I think that's absolutely true. And I also think it's something we should all be doing. It's not worth it. I think back at times that I'd go home from work angry. Like something would happen. I'd be like, oh my gosh, not again. And now I got to deal with this and whatever. And now I think, man, was that a waste of emotion and a waste of time? Because, that it could ruin my night. It could ruin my whole evening with my time with my family. And instead, now I look at people and think, well, why? There's a reason why they said what they said. There's a reason why they did what they did. And there's more than one way to do things. And just to be controlling, love is not controlling. To give people freedom in all areas is just a really wonderful thing to do. And no matter what, right? I mean, it kind of goes back to that you don't judge. If you're not judging people, if you're not hanging on to that and deciding who's better and who's worse, who gets in what line, if you're not doing that, then it changes the conversation with everybody.
Absolutely.
When you realize that everybody is your equal, we're just all the same.
And as you're talking through that, what I'm thinking about it's Mark Twain, funny man Mark Twain. I love his quotes. And Kim, what you just shared, there's a quote that he says, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." And isn't that the truth? Just to your point, we're worried about this and worried about that, and it never really happens. And it's just such a game changer. And for our listeners, I'm wondering, Kim, what do you think about this? You went through this, you did it a month at a time. For our listeners, why not take up this challenge? Kim's done the heavy lifting in Haiti, nonetheless. And we're not asking you to go to Haiti. Why not pick up the book? And if you say, well, I don't know if I could do a month, or maybe I want to do 3 months for each of the 14 verses, or maybe I want to do a week, whatever it is, why not follow Kim's path? She's put it all out there. And the question for you, Kim, now that you've gone through this, and I don't want to sugarcoat it because I suspect, hey, we're all human. We all have days that some days aren't the best. Some days are better than others. We feel emotions, maybe angry, sad, frustrated. Not to take any of that away. You go through the human experience, but I would suspect that you're really grounded in this way of life, of looking at it from the lens of love, that you're bouncing back quicker. You're looking at it differently. You're perhaps not getting as angry. Sure, you get angry sometimes, but you bounce by and things are better. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think I have lower blood pressure now. I think I'm healthier. There's been studies that have shown that if you're happier, you're healthier, right? Sure. And the happy people live longer, and really happy people accomplish more. Like you were talking about earlier with the mega wealthy people in life and the examples that they've been. It's just true. And love and happiness kind of go together. I mean, because when you realize that love is just something you give, no matter if you get it back or not, it's who you are, and how you want to live it is up to you. But if you do, and you really appreciate people for who they are, then you're going to be happier. Because things aren't going to frustrate you so much. You're not going to be so upset. That's in itself a nicer way to be, nicer place.
Absolutely. And Kim, as you're talking through this, I'm thinking again about the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap. I've drunk the Kool-Aid. Okay, guilty. But in the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, step 5, winning mindset. And what we share with our business owners, a winning mindset is not a to-do list that you check off. It's a way of life. And that when you can take your winning mindset, and you're like a bumblebee, a bumblebee and bees in general, they go from one flower to the next and they're pollinating and getting all that going. Well, the winning mindset pollinates other people, that you can get them on the same page, that we together as a team, we can accomplish more than you having your agenda, me having my agenda. And I would put this way of being, looking at the world through the lens of love, through the 14 verses in the Corinthian poem of really, why not try that? And so for all our type A's out there, myself included, all us business owners, why not try this and really upgrade your mindset? Version 2.0, version 3.0. And if you don't want to do 14 months, do 14 weeks. And if you're really hyped up on this, do 14 days. I'll take any of it. Some of it's better than none of it. Why not try this and see where it can take you and what you can do? And Kim, it's just remarkable what you've done. And again, for our listeners in the show notes, we'll have a link to the book. But Kim, before we go into the wrap up, and I would just love to talk about all these different things, but let's change gears here for just a moment, because I know offline you're sharing some exciting news with me, something that's very special, that's actually starting tonight as we record this. Can you share with our listeners what's going on, what you've done, and what you've accomplished?
Yeah, so I'm pretty passionate about spreading the word and letting people know what I found out about love. And through that, I've been on lots of shows and I'm getting out there to spread the word. And so I was asked to host a TV show, a talk show, and it starts tonight, Heart and Soul. It's on Bold Brave TV. It's on 22 different streaming platforms, but it's going to be every Wednesday at 7:00 Eastern time. And it's going to be fun. I'm excited for tonight and excited for the future with it.
And for our listeners, again, it can't get any easier. We'll put this as a point and click in the show notes. And I'd encourage you to watch the show and have Kim spin her magic and just take you to different places. Well, Kim, let me ask you this. Before we go into the wrap-up mode, are there any questions that I didn't ask or any topics that we didn't cover that you'd like our listeners to know?
Yeah, probably a lot of things. But I would say one thing that is happening, Jeffrey, that I'm really enjoying is people are reading the book and then buying a copy for their staff. And when you get everybody on board, when you let everybody understand what you understand about love, it changes the dynamics of a company. And people are writing, telling me their sales are going up, their whatever, the happiness level is going up at their place of business. Like good things are happening. Good things are happening in relationships at home and other relationships, like an estranged son who's now back in the picture, and all kinds of wonderful things are happening. So I'm starting this love revolution, I feel like, and that's what I think will change the world.
Absolutely terrific. I will say I love it. No pun intended. I really love that, Kim. That is terrific. And again, for listeners, we'll have all that in the show notes. Well, Kim, it's time to wrap things up. And I really have the privilege and the honor for every guest. I ask my favorite question. It's a fun one. Let me set this up for you. I want you to think about the movie Back to the Future. And in the movie, you have that magical DeLorean car that can take you to any point in time. So Kim, imagine now it's tomorrow morning and you look outside your window and guess what? There it is. The DeLorean car is parked curbside. The door is open, waiting for you to hop on in, and you hop in. You're now going to go to any point in your life. So Kim, what does that look like? You're going to go back to perhaps Kim as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time that would be. What would you tell your younger self in terms of life wisdom or life lessons or, hey, Kim, do this, but don't do that? What would that sound like?
Yeah, I'd love to go back to a younger me, a high school me or whatever, and say, don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, we hear that all the time, right? Like, don't get upset about the little things, but we don't necessarily do it, all of us. It can be so easy. You get into an argument with your partner and it starts out over dirty socks and then it elevates and everything goes nuts and blood pressure goes up and endorphins fly. And pretty soon you're saying, and that thing you did last week, and remember 2 years ago, whatever. And why elevate things? Things don't have to get elevated. I mean, sure, you get mad. Sure, you're going to argue. Things are going to happen. But I could be a lot calmer. I didn't have to be quite the bulldog boss that I felt like I had to be, I guess, as a young woman. And so I think that would be the advice that I'd give is pull it a little bit.
Wow. Lessons from the trenches. And there you have it for all of our listeners. And Kim, someone's listening. And again, we'll have in the show notes a link to the book, a link to the show, Heart and Soul. If someone wants to reach out, they have a question, they want to share a story, where's the best place online?
Well, my website is kimsorrelle.com. And my last name is obnoxious. It has way too many letters. There are 2 R's, 2 E's, and 2 L's, Sorrelle. So that's not the easiest thing to remember, but Kim is kind of easy. And the book is Love Is, so that's easy. So if you Google Love Is Kim, hopefully I pop up. But kimsorrelle.com is my website. You can get a hold of me there. Kim@kimsorrelle.com is my email address. I love it when people reach out, and I love to talk to people, meet with people, whatever. And so please do reach out, and anytime for anything, anybody.
Terrific. There you have it. Take Kim up on her offer. My goodness, she put out not only her website, but her email. It doesn't get any better, more authentic than that. I absolutely love that, Kim. Well, Kim, it's official. Congratulations. It's a wrap. You did it. We did it. What a terrific way to share your wisdom and really strategies for life of how we can become the best person that we're born to be. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper, Kim, while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
The Deep Wealth experience was definitely a game changer for me.
This course is one of the best investments you will ever make because you will get an ROI of 100 times that. Anybody who doesn't go through it will lose millions.
If you don't have time for this program, you'll never have time for a successful liquidity.
It was the best value of any business course I've ever taken. The money was very well spent.
Compared to when we first began, today I feel better prepared, but in some respects, maybe less prepared, not because of the course, but because the course brought to light so many things that I thought we were on top of that we need to fix.
I 100% believe there's never a great time for a business owner to allocate extra hours into his or her week or day. So it's an investment that will yield results today. I thought I will reap the benefit of this program in 3 to 5 years down the road. But as soon as I stepped forward into the program, my mind changed immediately.
There was so much value in the experience that the time I invested paid back so much for the energy that was expended.
The Deep Wealth experience compared to other programs is the top. What we learned is very practical. Sometimes you learn stuff that is great to learn, but you never use it. The stuff we learned from Deep Wealth experience, I believe is going to benefit us both.
I've done an executive MBA. I've worked for billion-dollar companies before. I've worked for smaller companies before I started my business. I've been running my business successfully now for getting close to a decade. We're on a growth trajectory. Reflecting back on the Deep Wealth, I knew less than 10% what I know now. Maybe close to 1% even.
Hands down, the best program in which I've ever participated. And we've done a lot of different things over the years. We've been in other mastermind groups, gone to many seminars, workshops, conferences, retreats, read books. This was so different. I haven't had an experience that's anything close to this in all the years that we've been at this. It's 5-star, A+.
I would highly recommend it to any super busy business owner out there. And Deep Wealth is an accurate name for it. This program leads to deeper wealth and happier wealth, not just deeper wealth. I don't think there's a dollar value that could be associated with such an experience and knowledge that could be applied today and forever.
Are you leaving millions on the table? Please visit www.deepwealth.com/success to learn more. If you're not on my email list, you'll want to be. Sign up at www.deepwealth.com/podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, if it added value, if you walked away with some new insights and strategies, please leave a review on your favorite podcast channel. Reviews help us reach new listeners, grow the show, and continue to create content that you'll enjoy. And as we wrap up this episode, as always, please stay healthy and safe.